Good evening and welcome to everyone, those that are present in the gallery. I declare the meeting open for the 15th of November 2023 Ordinary Council meeting. The City of Swan acknowledges the traditional custodians of this region, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. And we pay our respects to elders past and present and their descendants. The terms and conditions of entry into this meeting are posted on the door as you enter. Please ensure that you have read them prior to attending this meeting and abide by them. Tonight we don't have any attendance and apologies. All the councillors are present, and I have nil electronic attendance tonight, and we have no leave of absence. And if anyone does have anything to submit, please bring it up to the front. There are nil apologies tonight. Declarations of financial and proximity interests and interests affecting impartiality. Mr. Stephen Kane declared an impartiality interest in item 14.3.2, proposed scheme amendment number 214 to local planning scheme number 17, which was to add transport depot as an additional use on lot 812, number 55 Vale Road, Hazelmere, as his son is employed by Planning Solutions. Are there any other declarations of interest tonight that anyone needs to submit tonight? If there is, remember you've got your forms underneath the desk, just fill those out and bring them up to Mr. Coaten, and we'll submit those. Part 5, public question time. Questions and answers are recorded in the minutes of the meeting that may be summarised in accordance with the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996. So all questions received for this meeting have been answered and have been included in this schedule, and all questions will be published in the minutes of this meeting. 5.1, answers to questions which were taken on notice. We have nil. And then we have 5.2, questions relating to reports contained in the agenda. 5.2.1, questions of which due notice has been given. We have nil. And 5.2.2, questions without due notice. Are there any questions without due notice? Got one? So I'll get you to come up to the stand and just introduce your name, please. And you can ask your question.
Yeah, it's Wayne Best from Gidgegannup. It's a question on the extraction licence. Just want to know how this will be monitored, as in loads leaving the property and loads coming in, and the number of loads.
Thank you. And I'll just refer that to staff. To Mr. Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Of course, if this was to be approved, then the City would undertake its ordinary observation of compliance with the conditions of the approval as they're written in there, or as they might be modified by the Council, and follow that up. And of course, if any adjoining resident were to observe in their opinion that there was a breach of the conditions, then they could certainly notify us and we would investigate it.
Thank you. Are there any other questions which due notice hasn't been given? Is there anyone else in the gallery who'd like to ask a question? Just come up to the podium and just give us your name, and then you can ask your question.
Okay.
And these need to be items that are relating to the agenda. Is that an item that you've got tonight?
No, my questions are relating back to the council meeting that was responded to on the 13th of September.
We'll ask that in the next section, so I'll just get you to take a seat. We'll probably be standing up quite soon again after this, but that will be in 5.3, other questions not relating to items contained.
Okay, can I just ask a question? Why the minutes from the previous council meeting are not available for the people in the gallery tonight?
Okay, I'll just hand that to staff.
It's not good enough. I mean, we've got a lot of people here who don't have those minutes.
I'll just refer that to staff and we'll see if we can get an answer for you. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, the minutes are available on the City's website. It's not a usual practice to distribute minutes of previous meetings to the gallery at the following meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions without due notice, or anyone else in the gallery would like to ask a question relating to this agenda? No? Okay. So 5.3, other questions not relating to items contained in the agenda. So this is where you can ask your question now. Thanks. Where's she going? Is she coming up?
Right, so my name is Gina Bloom. Now, in the meeting on the 13th of September, there was a response to some questions that had been written into council. The question was raised by a Mr Neville Scott in relation to what lawful proof does the City of Swan ABN 21086180 442 have that they are a legitimate government department duly constituted under the Constitution of Western Australia Act 1890 within the Commonwealth of Australia, the Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK, imperial and not a corporate entity, sworn pursuant to the Oaths, Affidavits and Statutory Declarations Act, Western Australia 2005, under penalty of perjury and without malice or mischief with unlimited liability. Now, the response that we received was there is no obstacle in the Australian Constitution to prevent state parliaments from legislating to create, empower and regulate local governments.
Point of order,
All
Madam Mayor.
states.
It's question time.
It is
Can
a
you ask
question,
the person to
and
get to the question, please, relevant to local government?
thank you.
Okay, so the response we got was just to continue on for is under Section 52 of the Constitution Act 1889, Western Australia, the Western Australian
Can
Constitution.
I just ask, sorry, can you just phrase it in a question, please?
Yes, I need to read this
Okay,
section
that's fine.
because it is pertinent to my question. Was lawfully amended to provide a system of local government throughout the state. So my question is, the Constitution of 1901 clearly overrides this Constitution Act of 1889, and Section 106 of the 1901 Constitution reads, the Constitution of each state of the Commonwealth shall, subject to this Constitution, continue as at the establishment of the Commonwealth or as at the admission or establishment of the state, as the case may be, until altered in accordance with the Constitution of the state.
Point of order,
Now,
Madam Mayor.
excuse me,
Sorry, I'll just bring it back to the chair here, thank you. That particular question is quite a large bit of information in that question. What I would ask is that we'll take that on notice, and
I haven't finished the question, Miss
that's
Mayor,
a very,
because
very, very long question. If you could paraphrase it, please, so that we might be able to either offer it to staff to give you some further information, or we might need to take that on notice.
right, we have
Point of order,
three.
Madam Mayor.
We have three
Item-
legal
Just
Can
one
you
moment, thanks.
Ask the person, please stop speaking over the top of me. Item 4.2, subsection 3 of our meeting procedure local law quite clearly says that public question time can only be issues that be raised during public question time must relate to a matter concerning the local government. This is not concerning the local government. I please ask that you request this be ruled out of order.
Thank you, Councillor Bowman. Have you got much more there to add in the
No,
question?
because
Okay.
I'm getting to the crux of my question now. We have the 1901 Constitution, which overrides the 1889. We have held two referendums where the local government should actually be a body in 1974 and in 1988, and at both referendums, the people of this country voted no. How is it then the City of Swan is still operating, and why? Well, it has an ABN number, which means it is a corporation. So the City of Swan is not a legal entity. It has not been sorry.
Okay, we just need to rephrase that into a question, if that's
Yeah.
possible, please, because I need to then hand that information to staff, and that will be something they'll need to research and get some legal advice on to get an answer back.
Okay, well, the council needs to prove that they are legal, and the response that we have received
Point of
here.
order, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. It's not a point of order. Thank you very much for your questions. If you'd like to submit them, you're more than welcome to email them as well. And staff have heard them tonight, and so we'll endeavour to get back to you and provide an answer. But at the moment, it is entering into debate and more than just a question. So thank you.
Well, the questions are in the recording.
Thank you. Are there any other questions not relating to items contained in the agenda from anyone in the gallery tonight? Just come forward and just state your name and ask your question. Thank you.
Janet Green. I just want to ring up about the Swan Aquatic Centre that's being refurbished. I went onto the webpage and I had to go through. It's really quite hard to find information about the Swan Aquatic refurbishing, where it's all at and everything. You know, I'm not that on computers. So I was just wondering, is there any chance that, like, we could have had a flyer in the rates notice telling us how the swimming pool's going? Why are there so many delays? I was hoping, fingers crossed, it was going to be open in November, but it's not going to happen.
What would your question be to staff if you wanted?
Well, communication in the on their webpage. Could we have a floor plan added to it so we know where everything's going to be and what's moved and that? I mean, the CEO did a computer walkthrough that I could see, but a floor plan would be lovely so I can see where I have to go, if that can be done. Can they tell us how much it's going to cost us? Because there have been so many delays on the swimming pool and we knew there was faults in plumbing and that. How much has that increased in the first allowance?
Okay, I might refer that to Mr. Coaten, our CEO. He might, acting CEO tonight, who might be able to just give you some information to fill that in, and then we'll discuss with staff and see if we can get some more information out to the public, whether it be on social media or...
If you put it, like on the webpage, put it on the front page, so I just click on it and it goes straight to...
That would be easy.
It would be easier for me.
All right. Have you got a specific question you'd like him to ask?
A disability. My daughter is in a wheelchair. Are you, when the swimming pool gets finished, is it going to be okay for people in wheelchairs and disability? Are you going to have a walkthrough with someone with a disability to see how it goes and all that sort of stuff? Do they do that?
I'll just refer that to Mr. Coaten.
Yes, it will be universally accessible.
Yeah, so because sometimes I take my daughter someplace and they should have got someone with a disability before it had been opened. And my last question is, when the Swan Aquatic opens, or prior to that, I'd love all the councillors to go there and take their shoes and socks off, walk into the water and walk on the floors and just see how slippery they are. Because I knew we spent a lot of money on the old one and that floor became really dangerous. It became very, very slippery. And I've seen kids fall over, but I saw some older people grabbing the sides of the walls and that because the floors are really slippery. So I just thought I'd put a little challenge out there for the councillors.
Thank you, Janet. We actually have a tour this Sunday. We're going out to have a look at that facility. And with a nursing background, especially in all aspects, well, most aspects of nursing and disability, I'm usually looking for those sort of aspects which are disability access. I've got children, so we're looking for safety. We're looking for lots of those features. So we'll definitely have a look for you. And thank you. Oh,
thank you so much.
Thanks. All right. Are there any other questions from the gallery? Yep. Just state your name. And
Tanya Ryman.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. Are you guys with the local government sustainability or the 17 sustainable goals? Or
Yes,
equally?
the city is supportive of
You are.
sustainability, yes.
So when it comes to goal 4, 5 and 10, which are mainly about gender, sex and women, and nothing about men whatsoever, it's like it sort of inadvertently says they're trying to destroy the nuclear family. The thing is, the 17 sustainable goals come from the WEF, the WHO.
Ask whether you actually have a question that you can present to us.
Okay, so how are you going to protect the children against the WHO and the United Nations 17 sustainable goals?
Okay. you want to take that one over?
The reason I ask is because the WHO website and the United Nations website have stated that any child under or between the 0 to 4 years decrees that elementary schools must teach little kids about masturbation, sexual behaviours, sexual altercations and sexual stimulations with the purpose of having sex with partners.
I'm just going to rule that out of order at the moment. If you have a question that's quite detailed, such as that one, it's usual that we probably wouldn't be able to respond to that right here and now without staff.
It's
having
quite
some time
big, it's
to-
massive,
Yeah, that's
and
okay.
I like kids. I don't want
That's
them
fine,
under
and you're
this
entitled
sort
to ask that question.
Yeah.
But I need to pop that into an email if you can, and we'll provide
Yep.
that to staff, and we'll get you.
Who do
an
I write it
answer.
to?
So
You?
And well, you can address it to me, and I'll just
Yep.
pass it to staff if that's easier.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
all right. Or you can on the City of Swan website, you'll find the City of Swan email address there.
And
So
number 2,
question number 2.
the
if it's-
smart cities.
Yep, it's got to be a question though.
Go.
Okay.
Are we doing it here? Looks like it. Last time I was told that all this surveillance is actually for our protection.
We'll just,
Apparently, we're
I'll just refer that
fearful.
to staff. We're getting some nice questions tonight, but we're just going to get through this, and I'm going to refer this to staff.
But
okay?
the LED lights that are up, they have direct energy microwaves that can hurt you and make you move away from that area. Same with the 5G.
So at the
Mi-
moment, that's
5G
a
is actually
statement.
military.
So sorry, Tanya. At the moment, that's a statement. What I need is a question that can actually pose.
I would like
staff.
to know.
Yes.
So not only does they have that, they also have monitoring on those lights,
Okay.
and
So
drones can go to those
I'm just going to
lights.
refer this to Mr. Coton regarding those LED properties.
Yeah.
And you'll get an overview of what the city's doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through you, Madam Mayor,
Sorry.
if the questions are put in writing, the city's happy to answer them, but I do believe that they're not relevant to the meeting. So I recommend ruling them out of order.
What's not relevant? The fact that you're like not telling people
so
in
at the
every
moment-
community that
No,
you're
no, no,
creating
no,
these
no.
open air
I'm
prisons.
just going to ask you to please just give us a minute here. We're allowing you to come up to ask questions tonight at this ordinary council meeting. These questions that you're asking are quite specific, and
are.
they need an answer which staff may not have for you right now.
How can
I'm
they
happy,
not? 'Cause it's
I'm
all
happy
up
for
now.
you to put them in an email, and I'm happy for you to email them so we can give them to staff.
I
who will take
understand
some
that, Tanya.
time. Who will take their time and find that information for you, and then we'll get that back to you. Okay? Do you have another further question?
No,
because you're
that's
allowed
it.
5. Okay. All
Do
good?
I have another question? No.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, is there anyone else in the gallery who'd like to ask a question that's related to tonight? That's it. This would be the last question. And just state your name.
Hello, my name's Virginia Sibley. I have 2 questions, and I refer to the last meeting of the 13th September, where concerns were raised regarding the open availability of LGBTQ genre for children in the library. The councillor at the time stated that he was unaware of such a case.
Can I ask again if you have a direct question that you could put
I'm
it into
getting there.
for me?
I just wanted
Thank
to
you.
make sure that you know what I was talking about. That's all, because I don't seem to have any minutes available. So, and it's the first time I've ever done this. So we submit at least 8 titles that are aimed at primary school children, including pre-primary, including addition to early high school students as well.
Can you actually pop that into a question can you pop it into a question? So your question is asking.
Therefore, question is, will the Shire certify an undertaking to protect our innocent without bias with the following steps? A, ensure the collection be held in the supervised only section, i.e. the stipulation being that authorised consenting adult signs and a permission recorded authority.
Okay.
And B, will the Shire ensure that the library collection includes genre for everyday families with mother, father and siblings that does not cause conflict for this ever-changing development?
Thank you very much, Regina, for that question. That one I'll have to take on notice as well to staff because it's a little bit more in depth, but they will get an answer back to you.
Okay. And question 2, in addition to the undertaking that all libraries will include in their collection the Quirkingarran, the annotated constitution of the Australian Commonwealth.
That one we'll get back to you as well, and I'll let staff collate those answers for you. And that-
And I here have example of the books that I was referring to.
Okay, if you could list those, or if you have a picture
Well,
you'd
I
like
did
to
have them
attach.
written, but you were hurrying me along. So
No,
I didn't-
I don't mean to. We're at the end of 10 minutes of question time. But if you could put those titles or a picture, if you'd like to submit that as well, and attach that to the email, I know the staff would be happy to have a look at your query and answer those questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and now we're on to 5.
Madam Mayor, sorry.
Yes, question?
Yes, please.
I think that was the last one, wasn't it? I just need to move a motion to extend that time for one more question. And so Councillor Bowman, seconded by Councillor Jones for another what? Another 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes.
Thank you. It won't take
Thank
that
you.
long. My name's Andrew McNamara, and I represent the Upper Swan Junior Footy Club. So my questions relate to the Baskerville proposed Baskerville Pavilion upgrade. Is the council aware that the club's recent AGM, that a motion was passed to request that the City of Swan put an immediate halt to the proposed development and work with the club and community to develop a better plan? Question 2, is the council aware that the plans provided by staff were significantly flawed and the revised plans still have significant shortcomings and issues? Question 3, is council aware that the club, after becoming unsatisfied with staff and their lack of understanding of the needs of the community, engaged its own consultants and a much more appropriate and suitable plan has been provided, with only an additional 10% bigger floor plan than the revised plan? And question 4, what is the council's expectation with regards to the amount of liaise between staff and clubs when developing plans for upgrades of community and sporting club buildings?
Okay, thanks very much, Andrew. We're going to refer that to Mr. Coaten. He'll have a few more details on that, but thanks for the questions. We might go through... No?
Yeah, question about that. Can you please respond to me, and I don't know about other councillors, but I'd actually like to see the response to these questions because I wasn't aware of the shortcomings. And I'd also like to know this gentleman's name, and I'd like to also know what club you're from.
This is
'cause
Mr.
I
Andrew
missed that.
McNamara. Okay, do you want to introduce it again? Just tell your
Yeah,
name. And
sure. So my name is Andrew McNamara, and it's the Upper Swan Junior Football Club.
Thank you.
Okay.
So my question now to staff is, can I please have a copy of
Excuse
the
me,
response?
Councillor Catalano. At the moment, the questions are directed to the CEO for the speaker, who's asked the questions first. You'll be able to ask questions after
Sorry, it
them.
was the Upper Swan, what was it, Football Club?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Coaten might have a few more of those answers for you.
Yes, thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, the city has received your letters, and as you would be aware, we've got a meeting with you next Tuesday to discuss them. We wouldn't necessarily agree with all your comments, but we will be meeting with you on, I think it's Tuesday afternoon, to discuss those further.
Okay, thank you. The time allocated for the meeting, is it, do you know the duration of that?
The meeting is 30 minutes. That was the only time that we could find at short notice that the relevant staff were available.
Okay, we'll be succinct. Thank you.
My question is, can we please have a copy of your response? I mean, either to these questions here tonight or to the meeting, because I'd like to know what the answers are to these questions that were raised.
I'm sure we
Thank
can get
you.
a copy of those to
Would you be able to do that?
councillors
Good,
that are
thank you.
interested. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so 5.3.1, which was questions of which due notice have been given, and Mr. Bob Baku and Ms. Karen Moore have asked questions of which the answers are provided below, and they'll be published in the minutes. And then we move down to 5.3.2, questions without due notice. We have Viola Maripodi. You're here, Viola. And Viola's provided some information to councillors. Has everyone got a copy here? Sorry? You've only got 4 copies?
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone else require a copy? I can hand mine around as well at the moment. Yep, okay, thanks. Thank you. Okay, so Viola, you've got up to 5 questions. You'd like to ask your question?
Thank you.
My first question is, under item 5.3.1, Mr Bob Beku asked as to when the city resolved to subdivide lot 501 Paradise Keys, Ballajura, into 2 separate lots. The city's answer to question 2 was in part, and I quote, "The council resolved at the OCM 2nd of February 2022 to subdivide the site, and the subdivision was progressed and approved by WAPC as 2 separate lots. Therefore, my question is, would the city please provide a copy of the 2nd of February 2022 OCM where it states that it was resolved to subdivide this lot into 2 lots?"
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just hand that to Mr Van der Linde and ask whether we're able to get a copy of that information. He might be able to add some more to that. Thanks.
Thank you. Question 2. Would the city please provide a copy of WAPC's approvals of the subdivision into the 2 lots?
Thank you, Mr Van der Linde. Are we able to provide those and some more information?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, on the question of the minutes of the 2nd of February 2022's resolution is available on the website, but I'm happy to provide a copy of that resolution. But if you
Can I
also
interrupt
look at
there?
the answer to Mr Baku's question, it is quite clear that the council resolution did not specifically say that the lot be divided into a northern and southern part. It was to subdivide those parts of the buffer area and the road widening and the section that was required to retain the estate signs. It was to divide that off, but it's explained in that answer there. And then in regards to the second question, we can provide a copy of the WAPC's approval.
Thank you. Do you have a further question?
I do have the copy of the minutes, and there's nothing in there of any resolution to subdivide the lots, and I've got the copy here.
Okay. Do you have a question, a further question?
Yes, I've got further questions. Question 3. In the WAPC Statutory Planning Committee's meeting of 19th of July 2022, under item 9, confidential items, it states 9.2, City of Swan Local Planning Scheme number 17, Amendment 197. Does this refer to the subdivision, and if so, why is it confidential?
Okay, I'll just ask Mr Van der Linde to provide us a bit more information there.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, Amendment Scheme 197 was the amendment scheme that was initiated by the council to incorporate some build form provisions in the scheme to guide the build form outcome on the site. After that initiation by council, it goes to the Commission for final approval, and scheme amendment applications are dealt with as confidential items by the WAPC. It's just standard practice to do that. So there's nothing confidential about Amendment Scheme 197. I think all the residents and Mrs. Maripoli herself have made submissions to Scheme Amendment 197, which Council considered before they made a recommendation to the WAPC.
Okay.
Thank
Have
you.
Got a further question at all?
Just one last one. Right. In the city's local scheme number 17 Amendment 197, one of the submissions, A08A, was from the DPLH Heritage Operations, who commented that as Emu Swamp Reserve is an Aboriginal site, ID 3743, approvals would be required under the Aboriginal Heritage Act of 1972 for any ground disturbing works. A02B names the next of kin of who should be contacted for consultation. Have these comments prompted the city to subdivide lot 501 Paradise Keys into 2 separate lots?
Mr Van der Linde?
the answer to that is no.
Thank you. And do you have a final question?
The answer was no, was it? No, thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Is there anyone other than those that have already had their questions answered in there, any member of the public wishing to ask a question on any item on the not on the agenda tonight? I think we've already spoken. Can we have her again at all? No, I think you've already spoken tonight. So I did say, is there anyone who hasn't spoken tonight already?
How many questions are we allowed to ask? Is it 5?
5.
I have not asked 5 questions.
She has spoken earlier though.
They're very quick questions.
Okay.
Okay. In relation to the minutes from the previous council meeting, I request that they not be accepted because they are not correct. We had a person
Sorry,
here-
that's not a question. I need a question that's
Well,
on
I put
topic.
it to you that the minutes from the previous council meeting be rejected.
No, you need to ask an actual question.
Well, I'm asking you
No,
to
that's
reject
not
them.
put as a question. I'm just going to ask if you could sit down for a moment, please. I'm going to ask if there's anybody else in the gallery, other than those that have already asked their questions tonight, that would like to ask a question.
Well, I
that's
have
not.
another
I've just
question. I'm
asked
sorry.
If you could just take a seat,
I have 5.
please.
I'm allowed 5 questions.
I'm asking you to make this a clear question, please.
Okay, will the council give a clear undertaking that the questions taken on notice tonight and all future meetings are provided with clear and concise responses and not links and just not fobbed off?
I'll take that on
Because-
notice as well, thank you. And your third question?
That was it.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the gallery tonight that'd like to ask a question that's not on the agenda that hasn't spoken already? No? Okay. So then we're going to move on to 6, public statement time. So registrations for public statement time at council meetings were required by 6 p.m. on Tuesday the 14th of November 2023. Each person is given 2 minutes to make their public statement. The following people have registered to make a 2-minute public statement. So we have one, Francis Ward. Are you here tonight, Francis? Yeah. Hi, would you like to come up and state your name? And you've got 2 minutes. I'll give you a quick warning at the number 1 mark, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's actually Francoise, just to...
I was going to say
thank
Francois,
you.
sorry.
I would like to readdress an ongoing issue which has already been addressed with David Cook, City of Swan, and then it was moved on to Biodiversity, Department of Biodiversity, who advised this is a council matter. Our council should be dealing with the situation. For the past 2 years since we moved into a property at Cook Close Kiara, the family behind us have been feeding ibis from the crack of dawn every morning, Wheatstone Crescent, and this has continued for 2 years. And I believe it's been going on longer than that. The birds, sometimes 100 or more, land on the neighbour's roof and then onto mine. This happens between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. for the last year and a half to coming 2 years. White droppings are all over the roof. The birds are dropping tiles for about 45 minutes every morning from 4 to 5. I've had to resort to sleeping with earplugs and a pillow and have now just been diagnosed with a doctor with an autoimmune. So not sleeping, physically unwell, I'm trying to work. The birds are dislodging the tiles and we now have leakages all through the roof. Again, I've been back and forths to City of Swan, to David Cook and Biodiversity. I have had to resort to getting up out of bed every morning between 4 and 5 to try to hose them, to shoo them away. I have one daughter trying to complete a university degree in law and a second one trying to finish year 12. We just have to all sleep with earplugs and, as I said, with pillows. There's sleep deprivation, anxiety, and it's impacting our daily lives. There's just myself and my daughters. We are at wit's end and have made countless calls to City of Swan, government departments,
So that you know that you've got 30 seconds.
complaining about the issue. I have many photos of the birds and the feeding buckets in which they're feeding the birds. We are hoping that the council will do something and be able to help us as we are really struggling with health. The doctor has now given me a letter officially talking about the fact that the birds need to be stopped and they need to stop feeding them due to autoimmune. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10 emails to David Cook, 1 to the Ombudsman, 7 to Biodiversity, and then 1 to Kelly Owens, David Kelly, MP Bassendean. We're not getting anywhere and we're struggling.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I've
you.
said 2 minutes. Thank you for it, public statement. And I've got Teresa Holt. Are you here tonight, Teresa? If you'd like to come up to the podium and just state your name. Thanks, Teresa. 2 minutes, and
My
I'll
name's
give you
Teresa Holt.
a reminder at 1 minute mark. Okay.
Sorry?
We've got 2 minutes to
Right.
present your
Thank
public
you.
statement, but I'll
My
give
name
you
is
a warning.
Teresa Helt. Further to my daughter's discussion, I've had 2 major operations this year. I went to stay at my daughter's place and couldn't stay there because of the situation that's going there. I had to go back to my place, and she in turn had to come every day to make sure that I was fine and safe. This is becoming quite a ridiculous situation where it's being fobbed off like a ping pong ball from one to the other, from one to the other. Is Mr. Vanderpass, is he health department, or is it he that does this sort of situation?
Sorry, this is actually public deputation, a
Okay,
statement
statement
time.
time. Okay, that's fine. All right, so further to that, somebody needs to do something about it. I'm sick and tired of having to ring in between. My daughter has a very demanding job, so I'm the one that has to mediate in between, running backwards and forwards, and I'm getting absolutely nowhere with it. So I would like to put that forward, that somebody comes through and say this needs to be done by your legal department or whoever. I don't know if you have a legal department, but somebody needs to look into it because it's going nowhere. And after
1 minute remaining.
Sorry?
1 minute remaining.
1 minute remaining. The council must have a legal system where these people are stopped. Otherwise, they should go round to their house, knock on the door and say, if you're so in love with these ibis, get your damn buckets, walk around to the park around the corner at 5 a.m. in the morning and make a habit of feeding them there. My daughter is getting ill over this. This is not a sort of a thing that, oh yes, her health is getting really run down. And because her health is going down, my health and my stress level is being raised. This is ongoing. The dust of the birds' poop on the roof is so thick with summer coming that dries and that then starts throwing out, and we have to breathe that, along with feathers, filthy feathers that are in the backyard that are coming from their neighbour's place to here. These people has nothing to do with you, have their sprinklers going every night for 1 hour. That's got nothing to do with you. But this
Thank
is
you
the
very
type
much.
of people they are.
That's the 2 minute
What
mark
happens
there.
now? Do you give feedback?
Thank you. That's
Do you
the
give
2 minute
feedback?
mark.
Do you
So
give
we'll move on to
feedback
the next speaker. Thank you. We've got
you.
Ms. Sue Ward. Sue, are you here tonight?
Yes,
You've
I
got,
am. Thank you.
2 minutes for that public statement.
Wrong. The
Sorry?
surname is wrong.
What
It
was
should
the
be
surname?
Wisson, not Ward.
Wisson, sorry, thank you.
There have been multiple phone calls highlighting the extent of this problem, and to date, no action or intended action. We both live in Cook Close, Kiara. This family behind us feed the birds, the bin chickens, the crack of dawn every morning throughout the year, causing 50 to 60 to 100 birds coming in. It's impossible for this family to be able to sleep in to a more decent hour, 6 a.m. or later. Their bedrooms at the back of their home are only metres from this family yard, and the full brunt of the noises are heard. Despite water hosing them to attempt to get them to fly off, earplugs, fans and quiet music in their headphones to distract the sleepers to attempt to sleep longer to a decent hour. This has been going on for 2 years with constant phone calls to the City of Swan. If this situation was yours, how would you like it? As you sleep snugly in your beds tomorrow morning, do spare a thought for this situation and feel our distress, the distress that we have had every morning, for every day for 2 years. It's not fair or right. We've asked, pleaded for help. We've been unheeded, ignored, fobbed off to every department. Even the ranger has not been asked to come and confront this family. We have approached the family several times, going together with their limited English and historical outbursts. They pretend not to understand. However, after several talks, they do know that their behaviour is causing us neighbours angst. They choose to continue. They believe they are feeding the birds out of love. These are wild birds which they have attracted to their yard. They come in and sit on our roofs, as you have told. We are here to ask for specific help from the City of Swan to deal with this family. A letter won't help. They may not even read it. They could lose it. We need people presence, even an interpreter or a mediator to go through the language barrier. Even a fine of $10,000
I'm calling it now at 2 minutes.
would
Thank you
be
very
of
much,
common
Sue, for your
sense to
public
this
statement.
family. Thank you.
And next we have Emma Barrett. Hi, Emma. If you'd like to come up and state your name and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Emma and I live in Beachborough.
And I'm going to give you 2 minutes and then I'll call it at 1 minute just to give you a warning.
Wonderful, thank
Thank
you. Well, first, congratulations to everybody who is newly elected and re-elected. Being on the council is a huge achievement and a really great privilege to be able to serve your community. So I am here today as a member of Transition Town Guildford, which is Swan's local group of the global Transition Town movement. The Transition Town movement is a groundswell of change where communities come together to envision and work towards a low-carbon, safe, sustainable and thriving future. I joined my local group because of climate change and the huge threat that it poses to our future, that of my young nieces and nephews and the lives of everyone. So 2023 has been officially named the hottest year in recorded history. Australia's upcoming summer is forecasted to be the hottest on record. In WA, we have just come out of our hottest August day on record, our hottest September days, and our driest October on record. But we already know the facts. You know, we've been talking about this since the 70s, so facts and figures are, so yeah, these climate records.
1 more minute, Emma.
Thank you. Are happening closer and more often together. So as a council, we are in a really great, unique position to help our community by helping us get off the fossil fuels that we know are causing climate change. We've known this for a long time. And to help us get measures to get onto renewable energy projects such as tree canopy, urban tree canopy, water saving measures, etc. And also help prepare us for climate impacts. Like we've all experienced heat waves. So how can we get through these heat waves together? And also, I do know that a lot of young people like myself and other members in the community want to take action. They just don't know how. So if there are projects that I'd like to just leave with you to think about, if there's an easy way for people to know about these projects and how they can get involved, and Transition Town Guildford is one of the ways I've found that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Emma, for introducing yourself to everyone. And thank you to everyone for coming in, those people that made their time to come in tonight to make those public statements and questions. So we're at section 7, petitions. So all petitions will be presented at the agenda forum last Wednesday evening, and the following petition was presented at the agenda forum that requires to be tabled tonight. Mr. Coaten, just to table a petition presented by Raylene Pacello at the agenda forum on Wednesday the 8th of November regarding parking concerns on Leslie Road, Middle Swan, and you have that?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, yes, we do have that petition, and with a recommendation that the petition be referred to the CEO for consideration and response, which will require a mover and seconder.
So I have a mover, Councillor Henderson, and a seconder, Councillor Zanino. Thank you very much. And
How many petitioners? How many signatures on the petition?
I believe there was 13.
okay. Yep, so all those in favour, just raise your hands and keep them up nice and
Can
high.
I just ask a question? Sorry for being so late. Are we able to get a copy of that petition?
Yeah, I'm sure we can
We can,
provide a
we
copy
can
of that too.
circulate a copy to all
Yep.
councillors, yes.
Okay, so all those in favour of the petition that's been questioned, or is that in favour? So if you could raise your hand nice and high, all those in favour. So we've got, well, you need to put your hand up though if it's going to be unanimous. So, right, so it's unanimous, thank you. And that was unanimous, thanks. And deputations, all deputations for items on the agenda were heard at the agenda forum held on the 8th of November 2023. So up to part 9, announcements by the presiding member. I've got Deputy Mayor Councillor Johnson to make some announcements tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. It is a tradition at our council that the Deputy Mayor is the one that makes announcements of awards to the city. So it's great to see the city and our staff take home awards for the work that they do. The city was recently recognised by DFAS with a 2023 Volunteer Employer Recognition Award, which I've got just here. The Volunteer Employee Recognition Award acknowledges the important role employers play in the delivery of emergency services across WA, where more than 95% of emergency services personnel are volunteers. The city enables staff who are emergency services volunteers to take time off work to attend critical emergency incidents and vital training, which is something to be commended. Congratulations to the city is also in order for our recognition by Aware Super. And here's the award.
sure you can all see that at the back or not. This is a lovely Aware Super award.
So the city's been recognised by Aware Super, who recognised our health and wellbeing initiatives at the Local Government Honour Awards. The city developed a holistic and comprehensive employee health and wellbeing framework designed to address the complex needs and aspirations of our staff. Thirdly, there's no trophy this time. To top things off, the city was also a finalist at the Local Government Professionals Honour Awards last week for the Partnership and Collaboration Award with the Woolloomooloo Bushfire. This award highlights genuine and effective partnerships and collaborations that have demonstrated benefits for the local government and the community and demonstrated commitment to working with the community. A massive congratulations to the city and its staff for these awards.
Thank you, and I think a big round of applause for those that have been involved in this is really appreciated. So, make sure that it's passed on our thanks and congratulations, and we'll display those trophies for staff and those that are involved. We've come to part 10, leave of absence. Are there any councillors requiring a leave of absence? No one there. So we've got myself.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, in addition to yourself, from the 11th of December 2023 to the 12th of January 2024, both dates inclusive. We've also got a request for leave of absence from Councillor Hayden Miles from the 18th of December 2023 to the 24th of January 2024, both dates inclusive.
Right, thank you very much. And if you do have one, like I said, just fill out the form under the desk and you can hand that up. Do we have a mover and a seconder for those dates? Councillor Miles, hey, yep, and sorry, and Councillor Bowman, I think you had your hand up, did you? No, Councillor Jones, thank you. And then those in favour? Well, was it unanimous? Yep, you still need to vote, so pop your hands up nice and high. And it's unanimous, thank you. And then we have the confirmation of minutes. 11.1, confirmation of minutes of ordinary meeting of council held on the 11th of October 2023. And 11.2, confirmation of minutes of special meeting of council held on the 30th of October 2023.
Happy to move, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, that was quickly. And seconded by Councillor Podovnik. And those in favour? Hopefully it's unanimous. Put your hand up. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm just asking if you can just please not speak at the moment during this meeting. Thank you. A resolution which we've just done, and number 12, business left over from the previous meeting. We had nil. And part 13, for the benefit of the community, so we had adoption of those recommendations contained in items not withdrawn. For the benefit of the committee members observing the meeting, the council uses an en bloc method of decision making. So this means that agenda items where council supports the officer recommendation are not debated separately. One vote is taken on all of the items and the officer recommendation is therefore the decision of council. The following items have not been withdrawn for individual consideration and will be dealt with via the en bloc vote. Therefore, the officer recommendation will be the decision of council. So 14.3.2, proposed scheme amendment number 2.214 to local planning scheme number 17, which is to add the transport depot as an additional use on lot 812, number 55 Vale Road, Hazelmere. We have 14.5.2, list of accounts paid.
14.5.1.
Oh, sorry, it's changed to 14.5.1. And that's a list of accounts paid, September 2023.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Bowman wants to have them in the wrong order, so it's 14.5.1 being the financial management report for the period ended 30 September 2023. He wishes to withdraw, but 14.5.2 list of accounts paid September is to be moved to the en bloc section.
Thank you. So 14.5.
Other way around, sorry. Yeah.
So 14.5.3 is the change in basis of valuation of the ordinary council meeting 15th of November 2023. Then we've got 14.5.4 annual investment strategy and portfolio review, and last 16.3 Wheat Park slides LGIS assessment response. So I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Podovnik and Councillor Jones. All those in favour? All those in favour, just raise your hand. Is that Councillor Catalano as well? Thank you. I can't quite see it behind the bench. And so that's unanimous, thank you. And so we move on to 14, reports withdrawn for debate or absolute majority vote required. The following reports have been withdrawn for debate in accordance with the Meeting Procedures Local Law 2023 and will be dealt with by council individually. So we have 14.1.1, Policy Review, Local Planning Policy, Policy LP 1.10, Provision of Public Art, Report on Submissions. 14.2.1, Ellenbrook Town Centre Payment in lieu of Parking Plan. 14.3.1, Industry Extractive, Lot 201, number 165, Reen Road, Gingigannip, DA 920-22. And 14.5.1, Financial... Sorry, 14.5.2, we've got that change. Listed of accounts paid. And 16.1, Acquisition by Agreement, portion of Lot 64, number 198, Park Street, Henlybrook Avenue Extension. Then we've got 16.2, Release of Confidential Reports on Paradise Keys Aged Care Facility. 14.1.1, Policy Review, Local Planning Policy, Policy LP 1.10, Provision of Public Art, Report on Submissions. The item was withdrawn from debate for Councillor Henderson. So I have a motion that the council resolve to adopt the officer recommendation. So Councillor Henderson. So mover and Councillor Bowman, the seconder.
No, sorry, what are we going with?
So we've moved on to 14.1, Policy Review, Local Planning Policy for Provision of Public Art. Okay, so it's Councillor Henderson. So we just need a seconder now. We have Councillor Bowman moved and Councillor Zanino, thank you. And is anyone against?
I don't wish to
Question.
Hang on a minute first. Councillor Henderson? Okay, and Councillor Howlett, you had a question.
Yeah, I was confused. It looks like it's been withdrawn for debate by Councillor Henderson. Yet underneath it says motion that the council resolve to adopt the officer's recommendation. So I'm not sure what Councillor Henderson's motion is.
Councillor Henderson hasn't submitted an alternative motion. He has just indicated that he wishes to raise it.
Thank you.
Okay, so Councillor Henderson, did you say you don't wish to debate it? So we'll just put it to the vote? The officer's recommendation. So all those in favour of the officer's recommendation, just raise your hand.
Question.
We can't, we're right in the middle of it, sorry.
I don't know what I'm voting for.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so Councillor Henderson had withdrawn for debate the item Local Planning Policy Provision of Public Art to go with the officer's recommendation.
So essentially it's like it hasn't been withdrawn. Okay. Because nothing's changed.
Okay, he's changed his mind. He doesn't wish to debate the item now.
Thank you, that's clear now.
Okay, so all those in favour of the officer's recommendation, raise your hands. Is that yours, Councillor Catalano? No, you're against? Okay. Okay, so we've got myself, Councillor Dawn, Councillor Singh, Councillor Ringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Jones, Councillor McCulloch, Councillor Miles, Councillor Knight, Councillor Zanino, Councillor Prodovnik and Councillor Howlett. So we've got 12, is that right? And those against? Okay, so we've got Deputy Mayor Johnson against Councillor Catalano and Councillor Henderson. So we've got 12-3. That's carried. Okay, and now, isn't? So we move to 14.2.1, Ellenbrook Town Centre Payment in lieu of Parking Plan, page 21. Councillor Bowman, would you like to read out your alternate motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that Council resolves to 1, defer public advertising of the draft Ellenbrook Town Centre Payment in lieu of Parking Plan until Council receive a briefing on the Ellenbrook Town Centre Parking Management Plan, and they record the reason for changes that Council have not been briefed on the Ellenbrook Town Centre Parking Management Plan, which the Ellenbrook Town Centre Payment in lieu of Parking Plan is reliant on. 2, the Parking Management Plan predominantly is about time parking restrictions and introducing paid parking in the Ellenbrook Town Centre. And 3, the parking management plan June 2023 appears outdated as it does not include the aquatic and recreation facility.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor McCulloch? Councillor Bowman? Sorry, anyone else against? No one against? Yep, so those in favour? Okay, so it's unanimous. I can see all hands up where it's unanimous. That was easy. Then we move to the next item. 14.3.1, Industry Extractive, Lot 201, number 165, Reen Road, Gidgee-Gannet, DA 920-22 on page 39. And Councillor Nino, if you can read out your alternate motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I rise to move that the Council resolve to 1. Refuse the application for proposed industry extractive at Lot 201, number 165, Reen Road, Gidgee-Gannet. And 2, record the reason is that the nature of the proposed activity is considered to be inconsistent with the visual amenity expected of the landscape zone within which the property is situated, and to be disruptive to the peace and quiet amenity expected to be prevalent in a rural environment.
Seconded.
Seconded. Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Is there anyone against? Councillor McCulloch, do you wish to speak? Yep. Councillor Zanino.
Thank you, councillors. I rise to debate the issue. Councillors, this property is in a landscape zone. My understanding is that there are over 500 landscape zone properties in the city, and owners of landscape zone properties have many requirements that they must adhere to and management practices that they must comply with. People buying landscape properties want the peace and quiet and the tranquility of the environment to enjoy. Unfortunately, extractive industries does not fit in or comply with the landscape zone. Extractive industries has the potential to create problems with such things as noise, dust, traffic and environmental issues. This was evident with the number of deputations that we had at the Agenda Forum last week, all of which were against the proposed application. Councillors, given the significant objections from neighbours and the potential problems that this application may generate, along with the concern that it may set a precedent for other landowners of landscape zone properties, I urge you to support my motion and refuse the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McCulloch? Seconder. Councillor Henderson?
Thank you, Mayor. I think the key issue here is the term extractive industry or industry extractive. The thing is, you could take out an application to remove one rock, and that would still be extractive industry, whether it's one rock or whether it's a whole pile of rock around fire breaks or within the available cleared land. And that's the issue here. The actual use in that regard means that it needs to be refused. All of the other issues around cleaning up and the like are irrelevant because whether you're taking rock out or not, you still have to maintain a fire break. So that's the key here. Councillors, I urge you to support Councillor Zanino's motion. It is regrettable that the applicant feels as though he's cleaning the block up, but in reality, what the applicant is doing is a business, it's industry, and it's not applicable in this zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone against?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, this is industry extractive, but the definition is very broad. The unique aspects of this DA with a bigger focus and a longer term outcome is something we need to consider, and I hope that you will just listen to what I bring to look at a possible, if this motion is not successful, that I would foreshadow a deferral. this application is very different to some we see with huge operations. I took the time to visit the property to see firsthand the areas that the report pertains to. It is a beautiful 100 acres, heavily wooded, Marri, Jarrah, Karri, Sheoak. It is prime bushland. The flora and fauna is exceptional, and rigorous fire breaks that are actually easily trafficable are essential to maintain this pristine environment. This property is only a couple of 100 metres away from where the Wirraloo bushfires came through and ravaged this area 2 years ago. Without rigorous bushfire or fire breaks, this puts these beautiful properties at risk so that we can't mitigate risk and make sure that our bushfire preparedness is exceptional in these circumstances. So, I'll keep going. Yes, it's rural under the MRS. Yes, it's landscape under the City of Swans LPS 17. It's industry extractive. It is an A use within the landscape zone, and council can exercise its discretion to approve a planning application. Dust management plan is in place. It's rigorous. The noise mitigation acoustic assessment is in place. It is rigorous. DEWA have been consulted. Yes, we've got objections, and I believe it is so important to respect the objectors, to hear what they have to say, but to reconcile that to our reports, our mitigations, and what we deem to be appropriate, so that we can look at the objections and say, you know, it maybe isn't valid because we have a solution and we have a comprehensive in our office's report for recommendation of mitigations and conditions, very rigorous conditions. Your questions from last week's agenda forum were provided by Row Group.
40
and
seconds
answered.
left, Councillor McCulloch.
Thank you, Mayor. The screening, which sorts the rocks, is 800 metres away from the nearest residence. It's Monday to Friday, 7 till 4:30 p.m. It's May to October. 5 years duration, 1 to 2 truck deliveries, 4 light vehicles per day, only in that time. Up to 1 metre depth due to the incline of the fire breaks. You can't get a fire truck through those fire breaks in their current situations, and these are the areas to be ripped to make sure that they are accessible. I ask you to consider this and consider a deferral so we can unpack more of this and make sure that we're making the right
Thank
decision.
you. That was your 3 minutes.
Thank you,
Councillor
Mayor.
McCulloch.
Question through you, Madam Mayor.
Question?
Just
Used to
through-
being over that side, sorry. Okay, great.
My question is actually to Councillor McCulloch. I just wanted a bit more information about a deferral, what that would achieve, and what information does Councillor McCulloch think would be beneficial for council to consider?
No. As far as I know, you can't accept a question during that debate, so I'll just check with Mr. Coaten. You could ask staff if they might be able to.
Yes, can I transfer that question to someone in staff who can answer it?
Yes. So that would be to Mr. Russell. If there was any benefit to a deferral, thanks.
Through Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Mayor, Madam Mayor, I beg your pardon. Anything's possible. I think a deferral is simply to allow, the applicant can do two things, and I think they probably ought to do that. They'll need to consider, is there anything that they could do to change the application that might better present itself or commend itself to council, and or provide additional information. So it depends on how the applicant responds to the deferral, but it is open to them. They may be able to do something in either of those two ways or both that might commend itself to the council to support it.
Okay. Is there any other questions to staff? Is there anyone against? For? Councillor Bowman?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, the actual report that we received contradicts itself. The applicant himself contradicted himself, and then we got the last minute information, which I don't know why we keep accepting this last minute information from applicants, because that is planning on the run, which contradicts itself again. I would have thought the applicant would have been best to withdraw the item. A deferral would probably do the same thing. However, I'm favour of the motion purely because I still don't know if it's historical fire breaks or not. I still don't know if it's 20 metre wide or not. I question myself and go, if the applicant didn't actually own a construction or a landscaping business, would I come to the same conclusions? Because the question I had is it for the fire breaks or is it for material for landscaping? And I still don't know. Obviously, the applicant is trying to push the fact that it's for fire breaks. Neighbours and objectors are trying to push that it's for the landscaping business. But it comes down to the fact that the information is confusing, the information conflicts, and I really question why we actually accepted that information in the first part. But we've got to stop actually allowing this extra information to come in at the last minute because, one, we can't make fully informed decisions because some councillors may not have even seen it. We don't actually have time to actually digest it as well. So I would like to see either withdrawn, but I know the applicant hasn't and I know could have. Deferral could be, but without that, I have to vote for refusal, and maybe then it's up to the applicant if they want to put a new submission in to actually have that more information. But again, the questions I asked last week, and I asked quite a few.
You have 1 more minute, Councillor Bowman.
On page 48, the plan is not detailed enough. If I was to approve this, if council was to approve this, the 3 metres or the 4.5 metres, where exactly is it? Is it here? Is it there? And then from a compliance point of view, if it's 3.5 metres there, but later on it's 3.5 metres there, and later on it's 3.5 metres there, it'd be really hard. So that's the reason why I'm supporting the refusal, but purely because I think the applicant perhaps should have got different consultant because it's actually conflicting advice.
Okay. Is there anyone against? Councillor Podovnik?
Yes, I wasn't going to speak to this one, but I actually would ask Council to consider supporting a deferral. Councillor Bowman has listed a whole raft of considerations. He's drawn the conclusion that we should refuse. I think, leaning on the same considerations, we should actually defer it. He says that there's a number of contradictions and people have agreed with that. Last minute information, people have agreed with that. Not enough detail. A number of questions that are still outstanding. Information that's confusing. So all of these things can be addressed simply with a deferral. It gives the applicant more time to come back with more information for questions to be answered. I understand that it's not ideal for information to come in at the last minute, but it always will. That's the thing. So in this case, if a deferral will help us get more information so we can make an informed decision, it would be a wise and prudent thing to do. And I ask Council to support a deferral.
Okay, is everyone for the motion? Deputy Mayor Johnson?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, I'd just like to add a small amount to the debate. I am a volunteer firefighter, and that means I'm very familiar with fire breaks. I'm a rural urban interface firefighter, so this is exactly the kind of scenario that I would face. All rural properties are required to have a fire break 3 metres wide and a certain dimension high so that a fire truck can drive around it and patrol during a fire situation to ensure the fire does not jump the fire break, or in the event there is a fire, for the fire truck to move along the fire break. Fire trucks that are used for rural urban interface firefighting are 4-wheel drives. They have serious 4-wheel drive capability. It is very unlikely that they will be stopped by anything that you would see in the hills. I've seen fire breaks constructed during large fires. They are made using D9, Cat D9 bulldozers. The material is not removed from site, it is simply pushed along and the fire break is made to be level using the bulldozer so the fire truck can then drive along it. That is done actually during the fire, often in the middle of the night. So there's no need for a long drawn out process involving gathering material, crushing it and selling it. It's simply a matter of driving a D9 through and then followed by a fire truck. Councillors, I do not believe that at any farm I've ever been to has anybody had to have an extractive industries license in order to create a fire break. I do, and for that reason, I do not believe that this should be approved. So I'll be supporting Councillor Zanino's motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone against? I'll call again. Is there anyone for the motion? Would you like to speak? Councillor Howlett?
Thank you. I popped up and visited the site on Sunday as a request of the neighbours, Kerry and Wayne Best. I'm glad I did because I got to see a lot of rock and piles of pea gravel that were very, very big. So it's clear to me that operations have been occurring there. Obviously, it's a retrospective application. And Councillor Zanino's motion relating to visual amenity and the peace and quiet disruption in the landscape zone is completely correct. I can't see that this operation, if permitted, would do anything but destroy the visual amenity of the landscape zone and the peace and quiet. So I will be supporting Councillor Zanino's motion. If you hadn't gone to see it, it's a shame, but yeah, it was definitely worth a visit.
Okay, is anyone... Question? Councillor McCulloch?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question to councillors, that any councillors who actually have been out to the property and met with the applicant on his property.
Sorry, Councillor McCulloch. I just need to ask if that question can be directed to staff because we can't address all councillors. So
I think we have in the past where councillors might have just indicated if they had been out, but
no, sorry. It may have happened in the past. I'm not really sure what's happened in the past, but as I'm aware, that question needs to be directed to staff. Okay. Are there any other questions from councillors? Okay. Is anyone for still? Okay, is there anyone else against the motion that would like to speak? Is there anyone for the motion? So we're sure. So Councillor Zanino, if you'd like to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, just quickly, as far as I can see, Gidgegannup is a very large place, and it's got a lot of steep and terrains. It's got undulating. It's got forests. It's got everything, and fire breaks have been put in since year dot, and there's never been a problem. I think that this is not about fire breaks. Fire breaks are for firefighters so that they can have easy access to get around to try and prevent the fire from spreading. Fire breaks don't actually stop fire. This is not about fire breaks. This is actually an application for an extractive industry, and this is what we're missing, I think. It's an application for an extractive industry in a landscape zone, and it doesn't comply. Therefore, in my opinion, it can't be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zanino. Put that to the vote. All those in favour of Councillor Zanino's motion? So we have myself, Deputy Mayor Councillor Johnson, Councillor Catalano, Councillor Dawn, Councillor Singh, Councillor Aringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Jones, Councillor Miles, Councillor Knight, Councillor Zanino, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Howlett. So we've got 13 to 2. Oh, sorry, against. So it's definitely 13 to 2. Okay. And those against, just raise your hands again. So we've got Councillor McCulloch, Councillor Podovnik. Thank you. The motion is carried, and then we move on to 14.5.1 Financial Management Report. Sorry, did you get that? It's okay. Move on to 14.5.1 Financial Management Report. 14.5.2. We keep changing because of the order tonight. 14.5.2. Definitely the Financial Management Report for the period. we're going to change to the listed accounts paid for Councillor Bowman. So this item is withdrawn for debate for Councillor Bowman. The motion that Council resolve to adopt the officer recommendation. Yep, so I need a mover and a seconder for the officer recommendation. So we've got Councillor Miles and a seconder. Councillor Zanino, thank you. Is anyone against? Councillor Bowman, you wish to debate? If you'd like to open it, thanks. Oh, sorry, Councillor Zanino. So the mover was Councillor Miles, and the seconder was Councillor Zanino. Yep, so Councillor Miles, if you'd like to open, thanks. Yeah, well, you don't have to, you can reserve your right if you like. Okay. And then seconder, Councillor Zanino, reserve your right to speak. Okay, then, and then goes to Councillor Bowman, if you'd like to open your debate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be very quick. I'm concerned with some of our purchases. I've been concerned for a while. I don't think we're getting best use and best value of ratepayers' funds at all times. There are some in this one that I question, and as such, I'll be voting against it and request that we actually look a bit more deeper at our payments in the future. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone against? Or anyone for, sorry? Councillor Dawn, would you like to speak? Just against? Sorry, for? Okay. Is there anyone against? We're just speaking. Is there anyone for? Okay, so Councillor Miles, would you like to? Okay. Like I said, those in favour, raise your hand nice and high. For the officer's recommendation. So you have myself, then Deputy Mayor Johnson. Are you, ladies, we're in the middle of a vote at the moment, so can you raise your hand if you are for or against the officer's recommendation? That's okay. So then we've got Councillor Singh, Councillor Ringo, Councillor Jones, Councillor McCulloch, Councillor Miles, Councillor Knight, Councillor Zanino, Councillor Henderson and Councillor Podovnik. Are those against? Is Councillor Catalano, Councillor Bowman and Councillor Howlett. Do we miss you as well? Sorry, Councillor Dawn. So we have 11-4 and motion carried. Now I need a motion to go behind closed doors. So I need a second for, yep, Councillor Bowman and a second to Councillor Miles. Thank you. Sorry. So all those in favour? It's unanimous? Thank you. live streaming. Are they going to come up here on screen? Okay, live streaming is returned. Okay, so we're going back to. It's not here yet. Good. And italic. Okay. So where's my original one here? It's not there yet, so it is now. No. For those watching at home, we've just come back on live stream and we've just been behind closed doors for confidential items. The two items that we debated, the results were the first item, which was... No. Can I read yours? Can you read off? I'll just get the Deputy Mayor to read that because my screen's not working. Can you just read that? Thanks.
Okay. What we resolved was to authorise the CEO to provide council with briefings to provide the... Hang on a minute. Let me just start again. I think we actually need to start off with part one. So I need to read the outcome of that. So if we go to the top. Council resolved to not continue with the acquisition of land at lots. That's the old one. So what am I reading now then? That bit there.
Councillor Bowman needs to go
Second.
before the first decision.
Okay.
So if I need to read out the officer recommendation, it needs to be on the screen because I don't have it.
Okay, just give staff just a minute to update that screen.
Or I can find it in here. I can read it from here, can I? All right, okay. In fact, actually, the Mayor can read it from here since it's in paper form. So we're looking at 16.1 acquisition by agreement. That is the resolution.
So the council resolved to 1, accept the landowner's compensation claim for the amount identified within the report as settlement in full for the acquisition of approximately 10,135 metres square of lot 64198 Park Street, Henleybrook on plan 14898 as depicted on the attached land requirement plan, marked drawing number 2089-18/19 LRE 0022. Rev number 0, shown in black, hatching identified as future road widening in detail A. And number 2, authorise the CEO to approve variances up to a value of 5% to allow for changes regarding land area or costs associated with the land acquisition. Number 3, to authorise the CEO to finalise the land acquisition in accordance with section 168 of the Land Administration Act 1997. And number 4, approve an adjustment to the 2023-24 annual budget to include 1.147395 being the 1,038,931 and the variance up to a value of 5%. And the second one?
And the second part is basically this, just that section there.
Point though.
Yep.
I mean,
Question?
that is not the motion. The original motion that was split into two. The first part of it was defeated. And where is that in the minutes?
She's reading the resolution.
At the moment.
The defeated part wasn't part
Okay.
of the resolution.
So that's just this section 2 here, from there.
Down to there.
That's right.
Okay. And the second part was number 2, authorise the CEO to provide, so this is 16.1, acquisition by agreement, portion of lot 64, number 198, Park Street, Henleybrook, Henleybrook Avenue extension. And that is number 2, authorise the CEO to provide council with briefings to provide the following. A comprehensive budget of the total projected cost to date of the proposed Henleybrook Avenue extension to Park Street, including past costs and estimated future costs. B, an up-to-date traffic study and modelling demonstrating Henleybrook Avenue extension is integral to the strategic transport plan, including for public transport for the whole of the City of Swan, and C, a report demonstrating how sustainable transport solutions, including public transport alternatives, can be encouraged and implemented throughout the City of Swan, and D, any other information that Council may need to objectively assess and weigh up the need for the construction of the Henley Brook Avenue extension. Okay. So we come to part 15. 16, so 16.2. Have you done 16.2 there? Okay, can we go back to you? So we have 16.2, release of confidential reports, Paradise Keys Aged Care Facility on page 11. Proposed motion was from Councillor Miles that the Council resolve to 1, adopt the officer's recommendation, and 2, approve the CEO to release any confidential reports prior to 2010 regarding Paradise Keys and Emu Swamp for public inspection, subject to any information that remains commercial in confidence or identifies any individual person being redacted. And 3, record the reason is that all confidential reports in relation to Paradise Keys and Emu Swamp should be released for public inspection, subject to any information that remains commercial in confidence or identifies any individual person being redacted. Okay. And so 15 motions of which previous notice has been given, which we have nil, and 16 notice of motions for consideration at the following meeting if given during the meeting. Councillors are to give notice of any motions for consideration at that following meeting. And the deadline for those submissions will be 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the 21st of November 2023. 17, we thank you everyone that's attended tonight's meeting, and I now declare the meeting closed at this time. At 8:17. Thank you.